The baby had been crying for 43 minutes. Not soft whimpers. Not tired fussing. Full body, lungs burning, desperate screams. Ethan Carter sat rigid in seat 27B, his arms trembling as he bounced his 6-month-old son, Noah, against his chest. Sweat clung to his forehead despite the cool cabin air. He whispered everything he could think of: apologies, lullabies, promises he wasn't sure he could keep. "I know, buddy. I know. Daddy's here." But Noah didn't understand planes, or turbulence, or grief. All he knew was fear. Around them, irritation spread like a virus. A businessman in a tailored suit sighed loudly. A woman too rose up, shot a glare sharp enough to cut glass. Someone muttered, "Unbelievable." Ethan felt every stare like a bruise. He hadn't wanted to fly. God knew that. But driving across 3 states with a baby and no sleep had been impossible. His mother's funeral was tomorrow morning. Noah had never met his grandmother, but Ethan needed to be there. Needed to say goodbye. His wife, Lily, should have been holding Noah right now. She should have been the one humming softly, the way she used to at 2 a.m. She should have been alive. Instead, Ethan was alone on a crowded plane, being silently judged for something he couldn't control. A flight attendant approached, her smile tight with stress. "Sir, is everything okay?" Ethan nodded quickly. I'm trying. I'm really trying." She glanced at the restless passengers behind him and lowered her voice. "Have you tried feeding him again?" "I've tried everything," he whispered, eyes burning. The attendant nodded sympathetically, but the tension remained. She moved on. Ethan swallowed hard. "I'm failing him," he thought. 2 seats away, a woman watched quietly. Her name was Maya Alvarez. She had noticed the crying immediately, not with annoyance, but recognition. The stiff shoulders. The apologetic eyes. The way Ethan flinched every time someone sighed. She'd been him once. 5 years ago, she'd flown alone with her newborn daughter after her husband walked out. No note, no explanation, no child support. Just silence. She remembered the panic. The shame. The feeling that the whole world was angry at her for existing. Maya looked down at her own sleeping child, Sophia, curled against her chest in a baby wrap. Sophia's tiny fingers clutched Maya's sweater like an anchor. Maya hesitated. People didn't intervene anymore. Not like this. Everyone stayed in their bubble. Mind your business. Don't get involved. But Noah's cries weren't just noise. They were pain. Maya unbuckled her seatbelt. The man beside her raised his eyebrows. "Where are you going?" She didn't answer. She stepped into the aisle, ignoring the curious glances, and stopped beside Ethan. "Hi," she said softly. Ethan looked up, startled. His eyes were red. Exhausted. Defeated. "I'm sorry," he blurted out. "I'm really trying." She gently raised a hand. "I know." Her voice was calm. Steady. "I'm a single mom," she continued. "May I try something?" Ethan froze. Try, what? Hand his baby to a stranger? Every protective instinct screamed no, but something else whispered please. He looked down at Noah's flushed face. His tiny fists shook with exhaustion. Ethan nodded. Okay. Maya reached out. Carefully. Respectfully. Ethan's arms lingered for a second longer before letting go, as if his body needed proof that this was real. The moment Noah left his chest, Ethan felt hollow. Maya cradled Noah against her shoulder, adjusting her stance like second nature. She swayed gently, humming a melody so soft it barely reached the next row. It wasn't a lullaby. It was a heartbeat rhythm. Something primal. Familiar. Noah's cries stuttered. Once. Twice. The cabin went still. Maya continued humming, her hand rubbing slow circles on Noah's back. She whispered something in Spanish, words Ethan didn't understand, but the tenderness needed no translation. 10 seconds passed. Then 20. Noah's screams softened into sniffles. A minute later. Silence. The baby relaxed completely, his head resting against Maya's shoulder, breathing deep and even. Asleep. The entire cabin seemed to exhale at once. Someone gasped quietly. The businessman stopped typing. A woman wiped her eyes. Ethan stared. His mouth opened, but no words came. Maya smiled gently. He just needed calm. Tears spilled down Ethan's face, uncontrolled, humiliating, necessary. I don't know how to thank you. Maya shook her head. You already did. By trusting me. Maya returned to her seat, still holding Noah. Sophia slept peacefully against her chest, as if welcoming a temporary sibling. Ethan sat beside her, stunned. I'm Ethan. Maya. They sat in silence for a moment, the plane humming around them. Finally, Ethan spoke. My wife died 6 months ago. Maya's breath caught. I'm sorry. She never got to see him grow, he continued quietly. I'm still learning how to do this alone. Maya nodded. So am I. She told him about Sophia's father. About working 2 jobs. About crying in grocery store aisles because formula was too expensive. Ethan listened, really listened. For the first time since Lily died, he didn't feel alone in his grief. Passengers nearby pretended not to listen, but every word landed. When the plane landed, something strange happened. No one rushed the aisle. Instead, people stopped. A woman tapped Ethan's shoulder. You're a good dad. The businessman leaned over. My wife and I raised 3 kids. You're doing just fine. The flight attendant smiled warmly at Maya. Thank you. That was beautiful. Maya handed Noah back gently. Ethan hesitated. Would you like to stay in touch? Maya smiled. I'd like that. They exchanged numbers. Not knowing this flight would become the beginning of something much bigger than kindness. 1 year later, Ethan stood in a park, watching Noah toddle across the grass. Sophia chased him, laughing. Maya sat beside Ethan on a bench, sipping coffee. They weren't rushing anything. But they weren't alone anymore either. Sometimes, kindness doesn't arrive as words. Sometimes, it arrives as a stranger holding your crying baby at 30,000 feet. And reminding you that you're not failing. You're just human.